Welcome to Members Night Recap. This is Mischief. I am joined by Sergeant Tucker, Odin's Fist, and Slaughtermelon. How's it going, guys?
Oh, great. Good.
What I love about the games and how long these videos are taking to come out is that we progressively get farther away from the times these videos are released, and we forget what happens in them. So it's kind of like a fresh experience every time now.
Yeah, I don't remember this Members Night.
Yeah, I know. I think you were in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah. The whole time.
Yeah. Could have been.
Anyway, I'm going to keep this volume pretty low, and let's go. Yeah.
Actually, I'm a big fan of the new intro you put together.
Why? Thank you. All right.
So this game.
This one. Tell me what your thoughts are about this kick-ass team.
I'm staying out of it. I've been the one building the teams. So
I think there's a very good balance of some defensive players and some very aggressive players. I mean, you have Loki, who plays more of like a midfield strategy, and Simply Okay, who's a very aggressive player. You have Bagel, who's very aggressive, and then you have and I'm sorry, I don't know James's code name here.
Strikva.
Strikva. Okay. And from my experience, Strikva is a very laid back player.
Yeah, I mean, you played with him when he was like a 10-year-old. He's really been you've seen him on the videos strutting his stuff. He's got much better game sense now. On Heavy, he plays more of like a turtle, honestly. He can push, but he's very responsible.
That's good. That's better than what I can say I was at his point, so.
He's also got the same amount of practice. It's just, he had an age lead on you. So.
Yeah, Caleb used to suck.
Didn't we all?
We all used to suck.
Some of us still do.
Yeah, I know. You don't got to call me out like that.
Damn.
I'm talking about Loveland.
Including me.
That's right, including Odin.
The honorary Loveland members, yeah.
I suck so bad I'm an honorary Loveland member.
No, that is not. For anybody listening, I really do not actually mean that we suck. There's a lot of growth that's been happening over the last few months. It's been really cool to watch it, just like week to week through these games. And you guys got to meet Azra and Judoku in person.
Yeah.
And see how they played. So, like, what are your thoughts on them being scouts?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that actually I have a great respect for the developments that Loveland has been making. You guys have come a long way from when I first saw you all in 2017. And I feel like there's high hopes for the new players coming in under your guys' newfound leadership. And I'm excited to see what becomes of it. As far as my impression of Azra and Jidoku, I've only seen them play in their home arena through the videos, but in St. George, Azra was very good at following up, was a very good at like playing off of her teammates. And so I think Azra paired with Bagel is a potentially strong offensive combo, with Bagel being kind of a playmaker type player and creating openings that Azra could potentially abuse. And Judoku, I didn't really get to see like the prime of because his team was kind of struggling a little bit in some teamwork departments, but he definitely seemed like he'd be like a strong supportive midfield scout, kind of giving them more range to kind of cover the field. But definitely this is a team where if I was up against them, I would want to push past because the front line just looks so rude. Like I would want to be like, all right, I'm not dealing with that. I'm just pushing past it. I'm going to try and beat up their back line as much as I can.
Yeah. And following up on what Aiden said, I mean, Azra and Jidoku just finishing up a big and awesome tournament in St. George. What I see is player growth comes in the weeks after the tournaments. So I'm extremely excited to see how they do this game.
Yeah, because this is like a week or two after the tournament, right?
This is, I think, the second or third week. I can't remember.
Cool.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I just want to say with Judoku, he came up to me and he was like asking me what his strengths are and stuff that kind of defines him as a player. And something I notice about him is he's really sympathetic to the players around him. I think as he develops his game sense, he's going to be better at leadership on the field and like telling people, hey, go do this, that person's down. So when you say he's kind of a midfield player, I don't know if he feels like he has that authority amongst these players at this particular game, but that's something I'm kind of watching for, like how does he respond to his teammates. I also don't want to pass over Simply Okay on ammo because I expect a good 4 or 5k out of him.
Yeah, I'd agree with that statement.
This will be feast or famine. Yeah.
Yeah. Very opportunistic player.
All right.
He's either going to get a lot of windows to do a lot of damage, or he's going to have to hang back and try and protect Loki a lot.
Mm-hmm. Any more thoughts before we go to the green team?
Oh no, let's see him.
Right.
Okay, so this seems like a very strong opposing team, especially when you look at the lineups. Something I've not seen a lot of is our table flipping emoji medic player on the green team here, Joey.
Mm-hmm.
Really excited to see his progression. I know he used to play before I had ever started, and he's recently just come back. So it's nice to see him playing and everything regularly.
Yeah. You may not know this, he's actually our B team captain now.
Oh, that's amazing. Congratulations to him.
Yeah. So the other thing, for those that are not in the loop, this is the father-son duo. It has been requested several times by one of them. And so I finally caved and I let Jarrett and Luke play 3 hits together.
Well, yeah, and when you look at this combo, I mean, what makes me laugh about it is they could literally be played as a father-son in terms of teamwork and everything too. I mean, Mischief, you're a very strong leader on the field, and Scott Sterling has a lot of follow-up.
Scott Sterling.
He's changed his name again since this. He's now Ghost.
Well, I'm expecting to see him face tank a lot in this game.
Yeah, me as well.
That is a good assumption.
That is one of his strengths. Yeah, Scott Sterling is a highly energetic and athletic player. So he likes to ignore what Kodama's advice was in his How to Improve video. Like, he will sprint basically everywhere, and he's very in your face. But on heavy, that can be super annoying and dangerous. You can't look away from him, or he's going to be in the middle of your base.
Yeah. That's the fun stuff.
So we'll see what happens here.
Poopies and Raiden GL on scouts, compared to the other two on the red team, like, these two feel a lot more static and backline. Like, they're going to be controlling different territory. But really, Raiden's going to be controlling. I think Poopies is going to be going up the backline a lot. He's actually, despite being about 7 feet tall, he's very sneaky.
He's very quiet, so until he's starting to yell call outs, he can get around very quietly and quickly.
If I dare say, Poopies are usually supposed to go down the back line.
Ha ha ha.
I hate when they sneak up on me, though.
Yeah. You see, I mean, in terms of scouts to scouts, you see some players who've been playing a little bit longer. They have a little bit more experience on the field, so it'll be interesting to see how Jidoku and Azra keep up with them as the game progresses.
Especially seeing them potentially bringing what they've learned from the St. George event into this game.
Right. Well, Raiden GL does have a lot of years of experience. He's actually never traveled to an outside tournament. However, he's participated in 2 Loveland tournaments, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. I think Brahmatize is going to bring some leadership as well. Especially from the ammo position, he can kind of see people coming in and out, maybe give some direction.
He's a
I
nice
bet he's going to have some strong backline communication going for you guys, which is extremely important in games.
Any final thoughts before we get into it?
Let's do it.
No, I like
Let's dive.
Sweet.
As you can see, they're all at 0 points currently.
I know, especially that Luke guy.
Everybody is a noob.
Oh, sorry, Mischief.
Green team going on an early base run.
We got the
Both three
two
hits going
hits on
upstairs to
top.
start.
Strickva Pony and Mischief. Just no mercy.
Azra immediately getting into the back line too.
So Red's safe in the fortress. Raiden takes out Bagel.
Yeah, triple tap right there. It looks like we're kicking it off with a little bit more of a red team dominated board, which is expected on these third floor fights. One team's gonna start off pretty good and on top, and I think with Strickla winning that first trade, that really set them ahead in terms of fighting.
Yeah, and I can tell you from being on the green team, our strategy was to try to bull rush both 3 hits onto the third floor and try to win it. Didn't look like it worked, so green team kind of struggled.
And you see red team here really capitalizing on that and taking the lack of presence on second floor in order to push across and...
Oh yeah, they're completely
Try and
flooding
have
in
it
right
done.
now.
Yep, so that's a bunch of hits. The heavy managed to get both scouts though, which is important, but then here comes Josiah flushing them back out again, so that's twice that the green resupplies have been pushed away from where they were.
And here's Azra and Bagel just playing off of each other really well to keep that attack pressure up.
So red has won the top floor, green is flushed to the first floor. Mischief staying upstairs.
I like Judoku here rather than pushing up with Azra, trying to keep a different angle.
Yeah, just
So the green
covering more
team's gone
space.
downstairs now, which is another big thing. So Mischief's up here alone as red is kind of filling up their heavy.
That's a
Green
pretty
is also
good
doing the
decision,
same.
though.
Yeah.
I think
I think
that's
sometimes especially it's good to keep up, a 3-hit up there, especially if they have the resources like Mischief currently does. I mean, he's at 18 lives and 20 shots right now, so he can quite clearly stay up there for at least a minute.
I agree, and I think that's a mistake that a lot of 3-hits will make is they see their team get pressured and they think that that they absolutely have to respond to that. But if you already have a 3-hit with them and they're flushing and you can create pressure somewhere else, like Mischief was up there healthier than anybody else on red team. He could create pressure safely and try and pull people back or keep them pinned in, or if they push too many resources out, take advantage of it and reclaim it.
Yeah. So Scott Sterling came up right as a nuke began, so he's pretty close to full. It'll be pretty important the way that Strickva trades with him.
yeah,
And right now it looks like Red's having a bit of a problem.
yeah. Right about equal with the resupplies. In fact, red. Okay, now red's even again with the lives, but the thing that was tricky was that even though red took top floor, green used that time and got full while like everyone was looking at Mischief.
Yeah. And so
Yeah,
Bagels
I
have 0 shots here, which is a big problem. Is now Strickva kind of just needs to get a double and start controlling all of the area around him, so that way they can get shots into Bagel. Because now that there's so many of them in the resupply, they can't get Bagel any shots. And he's just going down again and again without getting anything.
Yeah, definitely. While they had that pressure up, it would have been good to fill up who they can, right? If you only had Mischief up there fighting, you don't need to dedicate the entire team to push him out, right? You only need maybe a heavy and a scout, or a commander and a scout trying to push him out, and you can be filling people up at the same time.
Yeah, and so this is Strickva's starting to control from second floor. He's just brawling with everyone he can find now. And so he is definitely making use of the fact that he was the one to get all the resupplies. And he is pretty much just fighting to hold all the ground he can for as long as possible.
Mm-hmm. Good positioning with the scouts on green team. They have both closet and big box. Looks like red is pretty well stuck in the chamber right now.
You've even out the lives, you've even out most of the score. Your nuke had some great follow-up from your entire team.
Yeah, definitely. They had the juice from getting resupplied downstairs. Now red's in a bit of a pickle. Judoku right now and Azra, both of them honestly need to just go. They need to go to second floor, try to take some space. Maybe they can snipe the 3 hits pushing from there if they can get some breathing room for their team.
Yeah, and something you see is like Azra right now is 24 lives and 47 shots, and Jidoku's 15 lives but 60 shots. A situation like that, especially when you still have your resupplies on the 3rd floor, your scouts should be on the 2nd floor.
Yeah, exactly.
Considering you still have coverage from your resupplies.
They really did not need to be up getting resupplied or hanging out near the resupply. It allowed Raiden GL and Poopies to have free reign of the 2nd floor.
Yeah, you see them catching up in terms of the scoreboard a little bit as well.
The big thing, though, both medics are very, very low.
Okay.
Green's medic is down to 7 now, so is Red's medic, and so it is a very close game. It's probably going to come down to the way that the resupplies function out. Who manages to get the most.
Good play by Simply. Just being silent.
It's another nuke from Bagel here.
Yeah, and here's the struggle I'm seeing right now, right, is after Bagel's first push, which was very well done, he hasn't gotten a chance to recover. I mean, he's been low on lives, low on shots, and in this situation, he's
Azra
even more
messing him up.
Situation.
Sorry, I had to call out Azra for a sec. What were you saying?
No, that's great. So Bagel's putting himself in a tough spot here where he's at 22 lives and 4 shots, and in an event where your medic's at 7 lives and can be realistically wiped out by, another nuke. It's dangerous ground to tread on,
And knowing Josiah, he is looking for John, which I think he just found him, and he's like, "Oh, okay, it's time to go."
I think Mischief's going to nuke, if I know him.
That does seem like a
Which
nuke
is
decision.
good because Scott Sterling's hanging in there at 6 lives. Ooh, Scott Sterling down to 4 lives. That was well timed. And Scott Sterling is just standing there like he has 20 lives. So that's kind of a bluffing tactic if I were to try to see what he's doing.
So the red medic is, I think, about to die here. They came downstairs and Mischief was already there. Strikva is upstairs, still trying and hold what little he can. But he's playing crit too.
Yeah. Both medics at 2.
And I think if I recall, he was trying to find the resupplies. He's yelling for him right now, and he's not getting any responses. He's trying to figure out where they've gone. And I think the big problem is Mischief's going to find him first. Yep. Boop.
He's at 1. Oh. Poopy's got Loki out.
And that's a bit of a problem considering red team's already at a deficit when it comes to lives, and green team still has their medic at 2.
And the big thing right now is Josiah needs to just try and find John to just get as many shots as possible.
Yeah. I think the main issue we saw here is that there was a lot of pressure from red off the bat, but they wanted so desperately to keep it going that they didn't fill up, which sabotaged their pressure in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
That's really the struggle, is finding that balance between the two, not letting the enemy team recover, but also making sure that you can keep yourself.
Well, and that's something we see with newer players, and conveniently enough, I mean, there's 3 what I would consider newer players participating on the red team right now, with it being Strikva, Azra, and Jidoku.
Mm-hmm. We call them our 3 musketeers.
So one of the great things is they're putting points up on the board, and they're putting in the work, but they also need to do their personal due diligence and making sure that they're well taken care of in terms of resupplies.
I think the other big issue right now is knowing him as long as I have, he's feeling like he needs to start helping make plays. But the problem is he needs to stay back to keep trying and give his 3 shots their armor back as well as any ammo that they need. Because Josiah's at 5 shots. He has a nuke, but if he doesn't manage to get anything, because Simply's charging in trying to get them all.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there's.
I think something too.
Go ahead.
I think something too is I feel like, and I don't want to say anything out of tune, but I feel like this kind of highlights the importance of leadership in a game, right? Because when you play with somebody who's a very good leadership player, and they're actively making calls, right? Like, no, you're the commander, you need to be filling up right now because we need you to have resources in 2 minutes. Or, okay, hey, I haven't seen our heavy in a second, you know, he needs to be here filling up right now. Scouts, you need to go out. You know, somebody making those calls to make sure that the team is getting refilled as efficiently as possible makes a significant difference in how you're able to keep pressure up and keep pressure off throughout the game.
And another thing, Jidoku using pretty much as many shots as he could have gotten out there, hitting people in the back, trying to get as many targets off, was simply dead now. There's no way that Bagel gets to another nuke. So he's pretty much stuck here. And the best they can hope for is to survive it out. But with 8 lives over 3.5 minutes, probably not going to happen.
I just killed Ben.
Yeah, the friendly fire, right.
Okay, happens. It's all part of the game, right?
It was intentional.
Next, I'm gonna missile Jarrett. Man, yeah. Honestly, this is a great example of like mechanics and skill not being able to single-handedly win you a game, because Red really was ahead at the beginning. They won top, Green was low on supplies, and then they just didn't get the rotations right. The only reason Green won is because their medic stayed alive longer.
Yeah, definitely, and because they filled up at better times.
Right.
I would say that Red won just about every fight that they took, but they just weren't able to take the right fights every time because they didn't have the resources to.
The fight that Green did win, they won because the whole Red team had to bunch up because the 3 hits had no stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, because Strikva had at least a decent amount of stuff, but he was playing back still, not realizing that he needed to go out. And eventually he did get out, but it was kind of too little too late.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good game. That was actually really close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think everyone, I feel like everyone played well. They like played their best. You know, it's not like anyone was just completely slipping up or throwing the game or anything. It really just came down to a matter of, you know, being just out rotated. You know, like Red team was winning the fights, Green team had a little better macro and rotations, and that's what it came down to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, looking at the hit differences of all of the players too, it's, you know, there's no one clear point of, oh, well, you were having trouble with this or you were struggling with that. You know, there's Strikva's got 52 out of 53 hits, and Bagel's got 54 out of 69. Whereas on the other side, Mischief has 55 out of 63, and Sterling has 57 out of 66. So everyone was shooting and getting shot just a lot in that game. So it was fun to watch when I was recording it.
The MVP of the game is Brahmatized, and he had a well over 1.5 hit diff, so like he was doing a lot of good for his team. Got a couple medikits in there too.
Yep. And I think it was you, Mischief, who actually stated earlier that Brahmatized had a really good opportunity to shot call for his team back there. And from the looks of both the scoreboard and the game we just watched, he capitalized on that. And you know, took a chance to lead the back line while you led the front line.
Yeah, it's true.
And that's something that's really nice about the Loveland Arena is that it has a lot of potential for an ammo to really read the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
If your team is staying fairly healthy, if you got rotations going on, the ammo can push up and see a lot of the field and see what's happening, and they're allowed to make more informed decisions and calls for the team.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that really helps a lot of those like level-headed players or strategic players shine.
Yeah, we totally agree. And if Simply got his bases, he would have been at a 5K as well. He got 40 shots off. So ammos both contributed a lot to this game. Yeah, I think the main leadership for me was communicating with Scott Sterling, and he was also doing a lot of like calling out when people are down, calling me to certain places or calling them over. Nukes were followed up really well by the green team. Poopy's got a 5K, and his one medikit was the killing blow. Scott Sterling got 7. So he was just in their face.
Yeah, getting full and being able to go back up, that nuke enabled him to get a lot of work done, thankfully. The other thing I do want to point out as well is, like Caleb and Aiden said, when we watched the start of the game, pretty much what they had kind of predicted came to pass, which was Azra and Judah being very, very, very well synergized with their 3 hits, being in very inconvenient locations. But I think, like we then said, that's kind of where they're working on now is the, okay, what do I do next? Because they did that first part really well. And then it was kind of a, okay, now we need to take a step back and get resupplied so we can go back out and fight and keep hunting them down and things like that.
Definitely.
So I think it was very well done by them, but a very good learning moment.
Mm-hmm. Bagel performed very well. I think once he ran out of resupplies, it was hard for him to get it back, and he couldn't really do what his team needed while he was in that state.
I agree.
Which is the life of all commanders.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll just play it back on half speed, and we can keep talking about moments in the game or really anything laser tag related you guys want to talk about.
Oh yeah, Luke, I heard you were going to share the secret on how to beat Rusty.
In the last 3 seconds of the video, I'm going to share the secret of how to beat Rusty.
That's got to be a really fast 3 seconds.
You have to like and subscribe first to be able to hear it. Someone's got to show for Luke.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not going to be Luke. He's too modest.
Oh no, I'll share it. It's the legit secret.
Oh, well, hand it over.
Last 3 seconds, baby.
All right. Well, in that case, let's discuss the upcoming New Zealand Nationals now that it is announced and official.
That's topical. Let's go.
I'm sad I can't go.
So there was another podcast called the Resupply Podcast that actually just discussed a lot of the trip and a lot of expectations for it.
Yeah, a lot of expectations from Steve-O.
Yeah, there are actually talks of 4 U.S. teams showing up.
Yeah, I hear Caleb's going to be on the USD team.
He's always on the C team, guys.
That's right.
C for Caleb.
But I know very little. Joe, maybe you could speak more to if you know anything, but...
You're funny if you think I know things. In this regard, at least. Nobody talks to me about this.
Yeah, nobody's announced like team lineups or anything like that, but I'm really excited to see who New Zealand puts on a lineup, and of course Brisbane, Australia's lineups. I'm excited to see. I'm expecting at least 2 or 3 teams from them, considering how close they are, and hopefully 1 or 2 New Zealand teams, maybe even 3. I'm not sure how big their player base is, but
I know they were talking about wanting. They were hoping on wanting that they would get both, or at the very least, a single European contingent. But they were hoping the Brits and the Germans could come together, but I don't know if that's entirely feasible.
I love all the European players.
I'm very excited to play against whoever I can. I'm very excited to see who Auckland is able to pull out, because I know they've not had a lot of players that I very much enjoy playing against. I know there's some people like, Virus playing and stuff, and I'm excited to see who all they're able to pull out of the woodwork for this tournament. And I enjoy playing with pretty much everyone who plays laser tag. I like the game, so the more people they can bring out, especially a lot of those old talents that I remember. Very excited. Yeah, I'm excited to beat up Caleb.
Yes.
Just not in the arena.
I can't wait. Oh, not in the arena.
Just next time you see him.
It's a long flight, Caleb.
It's a long flight, Caleb.
Yeah, that's another talk. Is a lot of people are considering how long they're going to be staying, especially the ones who are coming from overseas. Just because that is it's an awesome place to visit from what I hear, and myself, I'll be going 2 weeks.
That's awesome.
That is definitely what I would recommend based off of what I've seen and read. Is 2 weeks is a good time frame to get a bunch of stuff in.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to go kind of up and down New Zealand and check everything out. It's really satisfying too. It's a really cool place.
Yeah, they're saying they're going to go visit a bunch of places the week after the tournament. Do you guys... I
don't know how long I'll be able to stay at the boat ride is quite long. I might be a little tired.
Do you have any idea how you're going to get around or where you're going to stay?
Not yet. That hasn't been, well, in terms of getting around, I don't know. That's the one thing that I haven't really thought about at all. Just because
you're just going to fly everywhere on a magic carpet.
No, I know I'll be flying over there, of course, but once I get there, I just haven't thought about what I'll be doing for a car situation. I've been worrying less about that because that's something that'll kind of stay the same price no matter what, versus flights that are fluctuating, or housing that's fluctuating in cost. So I've been looking at a couple of Airbnbs and some really awesome hotels that are in walking distance of the arena. So
that's what I'm looking for. I'm thinking of getting that hotel in walking distance of the arena, so that when there's 8 people queued up for the one toilet, I can just walk over.
No thanks.
Caleb's toilet.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Give him a full.
Caleb remembers this. Oh gosh. I still can't believe
I think the max amount of people I'll share a toilet with is 3.
At the same time?
No.
Well,
ways to bond with your team.
It is a good bonding experience.
That's what they all say.
Yeah.
You want to have shared experiences with your team in and out of the arena.
I hear it's good for synergy.
Yeah.
Mischief recommends group pooping or grouping.
Or pooping.
Imagine there's a couple players who can tell us all about that.
I'm sure. Is it really true love if you don't stink out your friends at a tournament once?
I mean,
yes.
Australia has pooped on us plenty of times.
No, but back to the actual team conversations. I'm very excited to see what teams get formed and what lineups are going to be like. I think over the past 3-4 years in specific, we've had a bunch of new player influx, so or players returning. I'm just excited to see.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see. You got a lot of players who are different animals than they were last time there was a Down Under tournament, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And players who are going this time that didn't before, and I think that's going to be it's going to be exciting to see how everyone holds up down there.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
I think the other thing I'm interested in is because I didn't look into it again once I heard about it, but there was a conversation going on about how, not necessarily like site locks, but if you have X amount of players from the same area coming, should they be on teams? And I don't know if either of the two of you have heard more about it, but it would be interesting because usually the California teams send 4 or 5, so that could potentially make its own team and make teams pretty interesting.
So the way it's working sorry.
I'm not too sure about that, but in 2018 when we went down, it pretty much right off the bat, the precedent was kind of set that there wasn't going to be a site lock. And I think especially because it requires so much of an investment to like travel down there. I'm not sure if it's fair to kind of like raise that as a concern, but it's not like I make the rules. So
Well, and as it's been discussed, we've discussed the fact that I think it's finalized, and somebody correct me if this is wrong, of course, but as long as players are playing in a general area, like West Coast or East Coast, I'm pretty sure it's been decided on that's okay.
Okay. So like Chula Vista players could play with the Sacramento players. Okay.
And
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the
Loveland
first
and
time.
Utah
The Loveland and the St. George, and
I mean, the team that I was on in 2018 was me, Beans, Baden, Scythe, Tom, and Maniac, and that's just.
It was just the best
that's
from
just
the whole US. Yeah.
And me.
You're pretty good. But point is, the US got to choose from anybody to build their roster. Anybody in the US. So,
yeah, big caveat. We couldn't pay Rusty the big bucks to come play trader.
I could see the argument for having US sites locked in that same way, but we're not at a point where whole sites are going, like I know DK was speculating like maybe 4 US teams. I honestly think it'll be closer to 2 or 3. And maybe someday when we have enough sites going to every tournament, no matter where it is in the world, that's a different talk. But right now, we're still kind of recovering from COVID as a scene, Like, I think a lot of players haven't even returned since 2019 yet.
No, I think that's true.
Well, and I would raise the point that like the primary function of site locks is to keep people from just making super teams, right? But I mean, Brisbane's going, so I mean, how much more super of a team could we make?
Yeah, I'm just I think it's important. Plus, let's discuss Aiden. No offense, but California doesn't have a site anymore.
Yeah, I'm just saying I'm probably technically a St. George player. I'm almost certain that as the rules are written, I'm a St. George player now.
Exactly.
I think technically it's you get your choice. If I recall the way the words are written, is the closest one to you is San Marcos, but the one you have the most games played at would be St. George, yes.
San Marcos isn't a competitive Laserforce site. San Marcos hasn't sent a team to a Laserforce tournament since 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is true.
And that was a West Coast. But yeah, no, not only that, but I have played almost all of my games in the last 3, coming up on 4 years in St. George. So
Y'all heard it here. Aiden's my people.
I am Caleb's people.
Caleb is still our people. I'd make the conversation of I think you might have as many games here as you do there still.
I still have more games in Loveland, but I have more games as of recent, and I live in here.
Well, yeah.
With that being said, Aiden is a Loveland player, and I am a Loveland player now. So
Yeah.
never mind.
Mm-hmm.
The adopted
Yeah, we're
Lovelanders.
actually Loveland players. I think
We just don't put them in these videos because they'd be too broken. It'd break everybody's spirits.
I don't get put in the video because then people would stop watching the channel.
So that's another topic of conversation. You guys are coming out in just a couple weeks, right? Or 1 week?
Hell yeah.
Spoilers, even though this video is probably going to be out afterwards.
I was probably going to push this up to the front, but is it a surprise?
No.
Okay.
No, hopefully not.
So
Yeah, I was gonna say, hope.
I was going to say, and maybe it's on a game-by-game basis, but we're willing to do the same type of recordings for those games. Any ones that you want to go back and review. It might be a choice of like, it might be a kind of a trade-off with having less refs, but still.
I'm sure DK is going to want to record some of the practice games.
Yeah, and I think this is a more casual get together, so it's not like refs are necessarily, needed in the arena.
Mm-hmm.
We only need them for Caleb.
What?
And Caleb and John.
If I recall correctly, I have the least amount of penalties out of all four of us in this lobby.
That's not true at all because I played resupply for 10 years.
Caleb's a dirty
You've
cheater.
had a lot of penalties in some tournaments, but definitely less than me. I have a lot.
To be fair, the rest are probably needed for me. I do have a 24K trophy. So.
Yeah, there we go. That's what I wanted to hear.
Oh man,
Luke does also have the dirty cheater plate. I don't know if you still have it, but
I threw it away, man. It's a paper plate.
No, it's okay.
Can't imagine saving a paper plate as a laser tag trophy.
Ezra,
Imagine
stop.
getting a paper plate as a laser tag trophy.
Imagine the only away tournament you place, they don't have a second or third place trophy.
That's incredible. Oh, I love that. I got a hat from a tournament.
Hey, same.
Yeah, you were in that one.
Yeah. I think that concept was really cool. I liked that.
I like that. I'll wear a hat at a tournament and be like, oh yeah, look, this is me. This is my West Coast hat.
Yeah, look, I was better than you.
Hats or beanies
Yeah,
or things
Joe,
like that.
I was better than you. Yeah,
You were. You outplayed my team, unfortunately.
I'll never.
Yeah, but I'm very excited for the get together, and it's about a week and a half now, or actually 1 week. Yeah.
Yeah. Weekend, like a
Next
day
week.
is when
Yeah.
Plan to head out.
Sweet.
Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah, that's when we're going to play tag. How long are you guys going to be actually in Colorado?
I'll be there, I think Monday through Thursday. I have to double check, but
Yeah, I'll be in Monday through Thursday.
Nice.
unfortunately, I have busy life things to do. But I was like, I need to get more laser tag practice in if I'm going to Nats and fighting the Australians. And I was like, I kind of want to just show up at a Loveland members night. And then Autumn was like, well, then why don't you just do that? And I was like, you know what? Bet.
Oh, yeah.
And I went around. I was like, hey, anyone want to just like have a big thing?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, I remember that conversation.
People did.
I remember you coming up and being like, so, like 12 of us are going to come out in here in like a month. And I was just like, what?
I literally was just in everybody's DMs. And I was like, I am going to Loveland in January. Like I wasn't even like, I'm thinking of a thing. I'm like, I am going to Loveland in January. If you want to go, you can practice too. And everyone was like, shoot, yeah.
Yeah, so Than, we don't get to host just tons of events. Sometimes they just happen to us. We can't stop it. We're so popular.
Not only that, the other thing, when we made initially, to also bring it up, the duos tournament, when we made that, we knew that it wasn't going to be a very big tournament, but we wanted to try and still adhere to have a West. I did. Going into it, I had the expectation of maybe 20 people would come.
Oh, ye of little faith.
And like half of them would be Lovelanders. And the reason why I wanted to do it is I wanted to give people either one, the chance to shake off any rust before going overseas, or two, just the chance to get together, because the tradition that we've always had is that there's a West Coast Invitational and an East Coast Invitational. One's in the early and one's in the later part of the year. And then in the middle of the year, we have the international tournament wherever it's held.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why even on the Facebook page, I was like, look, I'm not expecting a huge turnout. Like, I just want to play with my friends right now. That's why it's a fun format. It's duos. We're not taking this super seriously. It's not going to be this big production, you know, contrary to Luke, who's been
Says
wonderful
you.
and made us a little thing. Yeah. And made us a little layout. Honestly, to me, it's just about having fun with my friends right now, because I know that there's not going to be a lot of time for a lot of them.
I have a question about that tournament, by the way.
Go for it.
How do I win?
So
That's the neat part.
We discussed
You
whether
don't.
or not we want to do. Yeah. So we discussed if we want to do trophies for like quote unquote first, second, third. I think the way that we're going to do it is we're going to do a MVP collective. Is the current conversation. And so whatever the duos average, so the two of you will get put together and then averaged out, that will be where you place. There's not going to be any elimination or anything like that, because that's just not feasible.
It is, but we decided
it's
against it.
It sounded much more difficult than we were willing to do.
And that sounds kind of rude, because it's duos, and you get matched up with some people.
The whole point of this entire tournament is just to put together as many even-ish matches as possible while letting everyone play with each other. Yeah. So at the end, we might take like the highest overall MVP and the second and third or something and give out some trophies like that. But so you still want to get high MVP, you don't want to tank your games, but the better your duo is, the general like worse teams you're going to be paired up with, you know? And it's not but it's not going to be where like it's blatantly unfair. Just, you know what I mean? I put out a chart.
And I was going to even make a joke that this is the only way I'll get Caleb to agree to be on a team with me again. But this is just, like I said, to be allowed to play with everyone, basically. It's very similar to exactly the same way that St. George just did theirs. Just duos instead of completely mix and match teams. So it'll be rotating constantly. You won't play with the same people every single game. You may get, back to back with certain groups just because the way that's how it falls out, things like that. But it's designed so that way everyone can kind of play with everyone. And it's designed to be a completely for fun, relaxed, just let's come play laser tag for 30 some odd hours and vibe.
So I have another question.
Yeah.
So I know it's like MVP based matchmaking, and you're trying to kind of like balance the teams out. So how does that work with duos with higher MVPs? So like, say me and my duo had an average MVP of like something ridiculous,
like 5, yeah.
And Caleb and his duo had an average MVP of like 30. Like, what is there an issue there with putting us both duos on the same team?
So
would I still have an opportunity to play with that?
You might.
Is your child.
Yeah, this is my child. So I have a spreadsheet, and the way it'll work is like once people have played a bunch of random matches together, you'll get assigned a number basically, with like the number 1 MVP average being assigned to the number 1, number 2 being assigned to the number 2, etc. So I think it's more likely that if, let's say you're 1 and 2, because 30 is a ridiculous number, you're probably going to get paired against each other for the most part. But there is a section where I have all the top players playing on the same teams as each other against the other top players. So that at least gives you a much higher probability of playing together. But I can't guarantee it.
The idea as an example is not to put using this example, you and Caleb having 30, is not to put you and your partner on a 3-hit versus a team whose 3-hit averages equate to 10 as an MVP. Because then, one, they may not be as encouraged to play, it's not going to promote as strong of gameplay, etc. So,
yeah. And I like that. And I like keeping it tied to the roles, right? Because, which leads me to another question, but I'm going to finish my thought first. One thing that I've always kind of had qualms with it in like skill-based position matchmaking, which you usually see this in like members nights and stuff. Mm-hmm. But is when you directly match, right? You're like, okay, commander matches commander, heavy matches heavy, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. You can run into some issues, right? Where like looking in the 3-hit setup, where say you have two commanders that match each other and they're both like fairly average players, and then like the heavies are like top of their game. Mm-hmm. The game can get very skewed in those 3-hit rolls because like one of the heavies could just like be better at slaughtering the enemy commander, right? Mm-hmm. Versus like if you're doing it by the 3 hits together, then they have more like flexibility there, and you can kind of explore like how you want to fill it out, and there's more potential for it to be even than just going strictly by position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and not only that, to also highlight using this game for a second. Sorry, Luke.
How dare you?
The synergy also does, in my opinion, play into that, right? While I think Bagel and Strikva are a very good combination, Scott Sterling and Mischief are much more likely, if I had to put odds onto it, to work together very well. Because, you know, it's the whole joke of the father-son duo or whatever. They have a lot more synergeticness, so it's going to make them appear a lot stronger because they're working together much more in that regard. And so that, I think, also equates into it. It's not just raw statistics, because I don't think the raw statistics are a fair way to do everything, but that's the best way we kind of can without coming across as biased.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we all know that the 3 hits they're just as important as any other position, but they have more ability to impact the flow of the game compared to the other 2 sets. So they will always be somewhat evenly matched, even if all the scouts are like way higher or way lower in skill level. At least that'll be the case on both teams, or for resupply. I imagine I didn't really look into what happened at the triple threat, but since the commander and heavy roles were split up, I bet you got more of that, where you had like a huge difference in commanders and heavies, and then that started to impact each other a little more.
From what I saw, it did, but
so I have a question that may be stupid, but or like obvious, but I just want to like
please
ask anyways.
This is for the people. People might have this question.
The duos are based on like the groups, right? So it's like commander, heavy, scout, and ammo medic, right?
Yep.
So are you just free to pick whichever role?
No. All the numbers are assigned to one of the roles every game.
Okay, so like I will be specifically told like commander, not just 3-hit.
No, you'll be told 3 hits.
You will get to pick between your pairing which one you want to be. So scouts don't have that choice naturally, but yeah, 3 hits are flexible. And
well, what if I want to choose to be second scout?
You can do that.
Just score lower.
But no, so I guess the question, was pretty much so you get your pairing. Can you pick which one? And is that you pick every game? There's no you have to switch off. Like I could every one of my 3-hit games go heavy.
You could always be the heavy. Yeah.
Yep.
Epic.
I feel like that kind of takes away from some of the joy of it, but if that's what you choose to do, that's what you choose to do. So,
well, it might not. I mean, some players are probably much more compatible with certain roles. We're dumbing it down, and we are just saying yes, they're both highly impactful roles. Pick whichever one.
Yeah, I think that's. I think that the way that it's set up, I don't think it matters as much, right? Like, okay, yeah, heavy is your best role, so you just go with heavy. It's not like you're picking heavy over ammo, right?
Nope.
Or heavy over scout or something every game, you know. And since it's by duos, if you have really good heavy performance and your duo has had really good commander performance, and you just stick with that, then that will be reflected in your like rating or whatever, and in matchmaking and stuff as well. So
yeah. TLDR, there's going to be a lot of Caleb Commander and Baden heavy.
yeah,
Maybe.
that's okay. My plan is to just pick Caleb up by his collar and throw him off the second floor.
I've heard that is going to be some people's solution. So
Baden is unfortunately too tall for that.
I'm gonna get Thunder to do it to Baden. So. We've all seen how jacked Thunder is. He's gonna evil Baden straight off the third floor.
I wouldn't be surprised if he just used magic.
Yeah.
I could imagine Thunder using magic. Like imagine the words he would use. You know, he was just like, "Oh golly gee, woo!"
Yeah, I was about to say,
Jeebulous Whizzle.
Lanta, my lord. Just...
Well, yeah. So there's the upcoming thing in a couple weeks. We got the duos tournament, which we've established is more for fun. And I also want to add, I think it's a great opportunity for players to be mentored. We have a lot of Loveland players pairing up with players of less experience, and not as many like, I don't know, people trying to just go out and win the whole thing, which is totally okay, you know. But the tournament's designed so that there can't really be a super team because all the matchmaking. So do whatever's most fun for you. Everyone's going to enjoy themselves, or should.
I'm just looking forward to showing off Strictva. So,
and excited for this.
Then we got Nats.
I'm just playing with my best friend Thunder.
Booyah. Yeah, and man, I'm very happy for Auckland. I'm glad they get to finally host Nats.
I know.
I was really working out and trying when COVID hit, and I was so ready to go. I am not in that shape anymore. I'm sad.
It's very
So
unfortunate.
if I go, I'm gonna need to really put my mind back to it.
Yeah, that's I'm full committed. I'm trying to get as much laser tag play in as possible before going. And I really think, like, as unfortunate as it was to lose a site and to not have that regular place to practice at every Monday, very unfortunate. That sucks. But I do think that having to just consistently play at competitive levels in different arenas has had an impact on like my adaptability and like my universal laser tag gameplay, right? It's not just like, you know, oh, well, I know the angles and I know the fastest route to take and I know these players and I know how to beat them. It's every time, you know, it's fresh arena, fresh game, fresh players, and just having to play laser tag the right way, right?
Yeah. So that makes sense. You never get to be complacent or go casual.
So I'm excited to bring that energy into Auckland. This is like, I haven't been this hyped for a tournament in a very long time. Okay. Honestly, I think I'm more hyped now than I was in 2018 when I first went down to Brisbane. I think that time I was mostly stressed. I'm still pretty fresh to the scene, but this time I'm like, all right, I'm giving it my all. I'm trying to get the reps in, I'm trying to get the practice in, and I'm hoping I can put some work in, but you know.
Oh, I'm sure you will.
So y'all better give me some good practice while I'm over in Lowland. You know, I don't want to pull up and everyone's like, "Oh, sorry, we actually didn't want to show up." So bye.
Oh, so I shouldn't kidney punch you on the first day.
No, not that.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
No, I don't think I had any thoughts to begin with. So
The next time,
it's just awesome to listen in on, and just let me come and commentate.
the next time we speak, there will likely be a broken Tucker after getting his ass handed to him for a week.
I really enjoy watching laser tag and talking about it. I feel like it really works the mind, right? Because you're actively thinking about what is happening and why. And I think that's a very important thing, especially for all you noob players. Okay, watch some laser tag and think about it, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
And real quick, I think that is one of the big things to comment on is Jidoku did come up to me and he was like, yeah, I watch a lot of a lot of the games that I'm in to try and see, things I can improve on. Same with can't remember what the other Daniel's code name is.
Stormblade.
The commander game. The other the commander game we got of him.
I don't know.
But he was talking to me the other day. He showed up again and he was like, yeah, I've just been watching that game to try and be like, oh, I should have tried this, or oh, I should have done that. And so I think being able to have access to this to watch is very helpful, and to not utilize it is kind of foolish.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
And the more you can develop your understanding of why,
Sharka-boy.
The better.
There we go. Thank you.
The better your understanding of the game will get, and the better you'll be able to play as a result, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if you're like, oh, why is this player doing this? Even if it's like the wrong play, knowing why they made the wrong play is important, because this is like a high pressure, intense game. Even the best players feel the pressure at times. If you can push other players into positions where they will be making mistakes, that's also a good thing to do. And also to realize things for yourself to avoid, right? Like, oh, they made this mistake because this was happening, but they shouldn't have done that, and I should think about that the next time I play, right?
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for letting me watch this and comment on it. It makes me very happy.
It was a delight to have you on, and you as well, Slaughtermelon.
Thank you.
I really love just getting to discuss the theory, and I think you both bring a lot of it. And it's something I'm wanting to do more of, like with Kodama's lecture, just letting experienced players talk about some of that basic stuff or intermediate level stuff that a lot of players might not know. Like, even though the real way to learn it is to go to a tournament and experience it, this helps too. This really does help some of our players, and I hope it helps players at other sites as well.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Anyway, I'm going to give you guys the secret to beating Rusty now as we end the video. Ready?
Ready.
What the hell are you doing? Give it! Pocket sand.